coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area. It's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph Zig Tygo.
Hey, I am back. You are comfortably zoned with me, the Zigzag Man, in the zone itself. I'm mobile today, and I get to spend time with my bud, Paulie B, but not in person. Paulie, how are you?
Doing well, Ziggy. I'm hanging in there. We kind of had some technical stuff. We had old man technical stuff.
We must apologize, although we not need apology to apologize. That stuff happens on the internet, but Jack DeGraw is going to come back another time. He had microphone problems. It all works out. I wanted to talk Yankee baseball with him, but we'll do that another time. I just wanted to say congratulate them on their terrific start, and the Mets have had a terrific start. So there's a potential Subway Series in the making, and I'm hoping so. It keeps things interesting. Hey, Paulie, as you know, this has been between January and now I've lost three of my closest friends over a lifetime. In that period, Jerry, as we paid homage to him last week, Jerry Feidelberg is gone. Marty Rose is hanging in there. I'm not even including him, but he's really struggling. And George Archibek, Carlos's dad, passed away of liver cancer, and he'll be missed. He was one of those good neighbor Sams, if you will.
Right.
He was, and always happy to help, always happy to be there. Marine veteran. I think a lot of his problems in life were caused by his service in the Marines, be it Agent Orange, this, that, PSD, PTS, whatever you want to call that. It hasn't been easy for him. He leaves a wonderful family. And like I say, there are few and far between like him. His ideology was very close to you and I, Paul.
Right.
We say ideology. What the fuck is going on? We don't understand it. We don't know how it could have come to this. We are all in such a quandary. I'm just hoping that the courts back us up and stop this craziness. He doesn't seem to respond to the Supreme Court, which is a new one.
Well, even so like he's not responding to the Supreme Court. He's also kind of mocking them in a way, because he was on with the El Salvadorian president yesterday, and they asked him in the middle of their meeting, basically, if they were going to release the guy that they actually was a U.S. citizen, had been here, married a U.S. citizen, and had a baby here, and they were supposed to release him. They're saying, "Oh, are you going to return him?" and he deferred it to Pam Bondi, which is like the something to do with immigration, right? And then since they were there, he goes, well, you'd actually have to ask, the Salvadorian president. And they asked him, and he goes, yeah, I'm not going to return a terrorist. And I'm like,
Right.
and I'm
He
like,
misses the whole point.
right?
And he's in cahoots with that fucker who is dragging us down. And every week it gets a little bit lower. We are now the lab. He's taking money away from cancer research for kids and education for kids. And this country is like the 14th in the world in that, and no health care for everybody. And he seems to take a personal delight. Is he not the most evil guy since Hitler?
Well, and I was going to say, because we were just talking about that too, my wife and I just kind of said something about, isn't the El Salvadorian president even, more evil than Trump? She goes, oh, he's as evil as Trump. And I go, even more so. He's using his excuse. He knows that Trump is wrong. He knows this administration's wrong, but he's still willing to do it. The thing that really scared me, which I'll get the camera on me, the thing that really scared me is that I think it was Seth Meyers that pointed it out yesterday. They asked Trump in the middle of another, like I think he was on Air Force One, they asked him if he would think about putting just really, really bad U.S. citizens in that El Salvadorian prison. Ones that were really, really bad.
And that's subjective.
And they said, and they said, yeah, he would consider it. So that basically means at any point in time, even in the middle of our podcast, they could rush in through this door and they could nab little Paulie and stick him in El Salvador. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to go. If ICE rushed this door right now, there'd be a fight. It'd probably be a fight to my death. Because I'm not going out like some of those people where they didn't resist. Oh yeah, I'd be resisting the fuck. We're at a martial law state. If a civil, like if I'm walking through the streets of San Francisco and a San Francisco cop stops me and starts talking to me, sure. But if I'm walking down the streets of San Francisco and I get stopped by ICE, there's going to be an issue. There's going to be a big issue.
I'd like to think they're not looking for Paulie.
No, I think we are the enemy of the state now. Don't you think? I think we're the enemy of the state because, sorry, I can't even call myself a Democrat anymore. I'm definitely not a Republican, but I can't actually call myself a Democrat. Why? Because the Democrats aren't doing shit. They're sitting on their hands. When I saw Trump give that address, and all they were doing is holding up little paddles saying, oh, you're a liar. Stop stealing my Social Security. Bring our programs back, or whatever the shit they were saying. They were holding little fucking signs up. The guy that I actually respected was the guy that got kicked out of Congress for actually calling him out and yelling at him, and they had the sergeant of arms take out a guy that had a cane, and I think he was 78 years old, had a cane, and he was a congressman from whatever state, and they took him out. That's how they would have had to take me out. You're going to know that I'm not going to sit here and listen to your bullshit. I mean, if it's just normal politics, this policy against this policy, no. We're talking about people being locked up, taken off the fucking streets for no fucking... this is literally... He is paving the way to be a dictator. He is paving the way to get elected for a third term.
Where does that line cross? I think it crossed when that El Salvador, that guy is sitting in a prison.
Right.
And he's in cahoots with a foreign power. So he's gaining control all over the world with this shit.
I think it was
And
even
it's
a week before that. So here was the point where, because I heard one of the Democrats get up, and it might have been even Cory Booker. It was somebody that got up and said, "Hey, we need to pick our battles." He is constantly he's disrupting every single thing, which is that's one thing he did say on his platform is he was going to be the disruptor. He did. He's doing it well. So they said, "Oh, we need to pick our battles because if we try to go after everything, we're not going to have any real focus and everything's going to get away from us." What it was like a week after that, but it was like 3 weeks ago where this girl that was in school and she was a teenage girl. I want to say she was 12 or 13 or something. And she was worried about her father, I want to say, being taken. And she committed suicide.
Oh, shit.
And that was, I woke up, it was like a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, and I flipped on the news, and it was CNN, and they were all sitting around, and they were talking about how this girl had taken her life because she was afraid that they were coming into the schools or coming into whatever, and they were going to take her dad or something. Or they, all I know is that a young child lost their life because they went to bed scared. I haven't gone to bed scared since I was a teenager or even before when it was the Cold War, when you thought at any point in time that the Russians were going to, send nuclear bombs over. It was, times
they
of
were in
Reagan.
Cuba. They were set in Cuba. And that we share that memory distinctly of being scared. I can remember sitting around my mother's kitchen and the radio, and she'd come in periodically, and she'd be pacing and come in, and we look at each other and go like, "Oh fuck." She didn't say fuck then, but if ever there were a time,
she was gonna curse, it would have been that time.
Just that bad now.
Oh yeah, or even it's worse, right? Because Paulie, I think the fear. I think
before I forget,
yes,
you said something so poignant. We gotta choose our battles. So I'm going to ask you, what are the two things, and we'll go back and forth on this, that prove? Him imitating the handicapped guy.
And that was in his first. That was in his first right. Presidential term.
But what are the? I know. So we could. There are a million of those things, if you will, to choose from.
Right.
I'll start with what gets me in the cross. The guy never came to. Came to Jesus meeting when he was responsible for 1 million so deaths because of the way he handled COVID. So I would say let's start from there, and you give me one, if you will.
So you want the things that he's done that's been bad?
Well, the things that are just so outrageous, and I've got my next one is just as outrageous. But
so what was your first one? Your first one was what?
My first one was the COVID response. How that?
Well, even out of that alone, there's like 5 or 10 things. Take the horse. Take the horse right. medicine. Inject bleach. This is all gonna be over by June. I'm thinking of a lot of quotes from that. There was so many times where he kept looking in these White House, what is it? The press room where he kept looking over at either Fauci or the lady that he had. I can't even remember the lady anymore, but the lady that was like part of the CDC.
Right. She looked incredulous. She was absolutely in shock. Like, are we talking to a fucking moron or what?
Well, and then she kept pointing at her and saying, "You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, agree with me, and so just the response to COVID, how again, here's the other thing that we have. There should be a term for people politicizing everything. It shouldn't be a political issue. It should be a human rights issue. If you don't want to take a vaccine, so hold on. If you don't want to take a vaccine, that's fine. But I want to know you don't want to take a vaccine. You know how people wear like different shirts, like Irish Pride, during the St. Patrick's Day, like Irish Pride shirts and stuff like that. They should say non-vax pride. They should have a shirt or something that shows them that, oh, that person's not vaccinated, therefore that person can be a carrier. So if I vaxxed and I'm staying my distance, and as long as I know that they're basically a carrier, that's fine.
Yeah, well, you could take it one step further. That Robert Kennedy Jr., who was in charge of this shit, led 2 kids to their death by not immunizing.
There we go.
There I go. Third time's a charm. And nothing is really said about that. I mean, you got to have kids immunized before they go to school.
Right.
And I remember the polio scare, and I remember the sugar cubes and going through it. I don't remember anybody protesting that.
Yeah, well, so I think Kennedy is starting to feel a little guilty on certain things. I think he went to both of those kids' funerals. He should have. I mean, he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have, but he should have.
Yeah.
That's probably the last fucking guy I wanted to see at my kid's funeral.
That's well put. If you're the family member,
Yeah, I'd want to call that. And I guess if it was my family, I would have told them no. I appreciate you putting in the effort, but at this point, this looks political. This just looks like you're trying to save face, and you're not. And so, yeah, no, it's ugly. It's ugly. He should have never. That's funny. Your phone's going off. Let it keep going. Just let it keep going. Don't even touch it, because otherwise we're in trouble. But that's it. I mean, literally, he went to both those kids' funerals because he felt guilty. I forget his statement. I should look it up. But he even said, oh, well, I forget. I forget. I saw the quote, but it was basically, it couldn't hurt to get vaccinated for measles. Really, it couldn't hurt.
Hey, let me go on to the third thing.
Okay.
How about Roe v. Wade? There's something about women who voted for Republican with Roe v. Wade on the table, basically, that repulses me.
Yeah, women. I mean, he had the deck stacked. He has the votes in the Supreme Court. You didn't think he was going to do that?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'll go number 4, and then I'll let you rant for a while. But you said something. I can't even quote you. I have a hard time considering myself a Democrat. You know when I came to that conclusion? When I was sitting in my living room, Tally's living room, truth be known, and the Democratic National Committee disenfranchised Bernie. And this was before the election, naturally, because Hillary Clinton got it. And a cold thought went through my head right then. She's not electable.
Right.
And Bernie is. And you know what? It comes to him standing up now for what's going on. And he is incredibly articulate, incredibly well spoken, incredibly well planned, and he is making a tour of the country and trying to get people up in arms about what's going on.
Yeah, he was just at Coachella, which I thought was awesome.
You're right.
Which is like the
Coachella
Woodstock out in the middle of the desert.
Where they took the kidnappers took a busload of kids. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yes, I remember the Coachella school kid. Yeah.
And so I
was that Coachella? That was Coachella. That's funny.
You could take the cabinet and put them underground with those people, and well, that would be getting me in trouble for that, and getting the station in trouble too.
Oh no, that's okay. We have the right. We still live in America. We still live in America, so we're able to say anything. And like I said, if they raided and broke down the doors and took me away, yeah, there's going to be a fight.
A great book comes to mind.
I'm telling you, even if they took me all the way to El Salvador, boy, I'm really pushing it. Even if they took me all the way to El Salvador, they had like Christy Nome in front of the bars with all the different guys in the prison, and I'd be up front, right in front of those bars. I'd be saying some shit, and I'd probably end up paying my life because, you know, it's not like those guys were obedient behind the bars because they wanted to be. It's because they didn't want to be dead the next day. But no, either way, it would have been like that guy they took out of Congress during the presidential address where he said, "You're a liar." They would have had to literally drag me out kicking and screaming. And I'm telling you, you know what I would have done?
This mentality.
You know what I would have done? I would have hit the floor and had my body go limp, and it would have been like my mother trying to take me out of a department store when I was a kid. They would have had to drag me the fuck out. Kicking and screaming, grabbing shit on the way out, knocking shit down. Fuck no. That's what the fuck they would get. So.
Hey, Paulie, there was a great book written. I think it was Leon Uris wrote a novel. I think it was him. It was called A Stone for Danny Fisher. And it was about there were some protesters in Poland that didn't go down lightly when that shit was going on, when they were taking Jews to concentration camps on the train. And the theme of the book was, I'll take two of yours for me. And that's what you're talking about. You take two.
And who did you think the author was?
I think it was Leon Uris.
Close. Not even close, but that's close. A Stone for Danny Fisher is a serious early novel by Harold Robbins that looks at the effect of the Great Depression on a lower middle class Jewish family, written in 1952. And it was about their life in 1944 era.
Different book. I used to read a lot of novels. Updike. Didn't read shit for school, but I learned a lot on talk radio, midnight talk radio. Long John Nebel was on, and he'd have a panel of interesting people every night, much like we do. And I get what this podcast is from my listening to Long John Nebel when I should have been sleeping. so I could get an education.
Well, and I would believe this is a book.
Perhaps.
I would believe that this is a book you probably read because of the description. Facing poverty and daily encounters with his violent anti-Semitic neighbors, Danny must fight both inside and outside of the ring just to survive. As his boxing becomes legendary in the city's seedy underworld, packed with wise guys, loose women, everyone wants a hand in Danny's success. Totally sounds like something you would read. Sounds like it's the streets of New York.
We're talking about reading that book 65 years ago, so if I got it wrong a little bit, but it was very poignant. You know, you and I have the same mentality of not giving into the shit.
Right.
So
no, I think we can't. I think that's our duty right now, America. If you don't like what's happening, speak the fuck up.
Absolutely. Speak the fuck up and don't be afraid of losing whatever you think is other than your health and your family and what have you. But your wealth is not as important as you think it is. If you have to live with not having pride, how do these fucking Republicans that stick up for the orange fucktard, excuse my language.
I've been dropping so many F-bombs, I wouldn't worry.
I would say I hope there's enough because the situation calls for it. But how do these Republicans, just to stay in office, just to get reelected, how do they live with themselves? What are they going to tell their grandkids someday?
Right.
They're
going to have to explain to somebody where they fucked up, where they didn't do their job, where they didn't do their civic duty as a person in this country to stand up and for your rights. I mean, so here we go. So even
you don't have to be any great shakes to go, hey, this is wrong.
Well,
it's.
I mean, it's not a mystery why Edge Studios' tagline is keep standing up, because it's keep standing up for what you believe in. And it's always been that way. That's why that's even my tagline when I leave, when I finish a set of stand up, I always say keep standing up. Our shirts say keep standing up. You need to assert yourself. I think the only people that really don't need to assert themselves is anybody on the right side of the aisle. I think they need to sit the fuck down. If actually, you know what? If there's people on the right side of the aisle that actually have a conscience, yes, I do want you to speak up. Because some of this shit has to make them sick to their stomach. Some of this shit, I hate to say it, but a lot of Republicans are they're gay. There's gay people on either side of the aisle, but gay people on the right side of the aisle sometimes are closeted. And so if what he's doing to the LGBTQ community is pissing you off and you're Republican and you're closeted, you maybe should speak up. If you're for women's rights, throw up in your closet from disgust. Right. And if you believe in women's rights, Roe v. Wade, then you should speak up if you're Republican.
And it's not just women's rights with Roe v. Wade, because lack of Roe v. Wade affects sexuality. And for the most part, men are involved in that as well. And we all have nieces, we all have aunts, we all have mothers that we came from. What does mankind think of femininity?
Right.
And that disgusts me. So
I do want to Go ahead. I'm sorry, Zig. Go
No,
ahead.
I'm just saying it's a great world we live in. Hey, give me something positive, Paulie.
Something
Tell me
positive.
about
What I'm liking.
tell me about what's going on in your studio.
Well,
You
today,
have
so we have an interview that starts in 15 minutes, which I'm going to get going for pretty soon. But we have Richard Perry, which is local artist here. He's resident artist in our building at the Oddfellows building at here at 7th and Market. Richard Perry's an artist, activist, all around cool guy. And I've always wanted a really cool nickname. And his nickname is Lucky. So Lucky's going to come hang out with us, tell us about what he's got going and in his art scene and what's happening here. Edge Studios is here. Tomorrow's my 58th birthday. So I'm gonna
I wouldn't have
promote the
forgotten.
hell out of myself in the studios before I leave today. We are looking to keep the doors open here at Edge Studios. It's always a struggle because we want more people creating content and coming into our studios and doing what we do. We love this place.
And you don't just
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
take money. You don't just take money from people for the sake of taking money.
No, I
You
actually,
wanna-
if you ever seen me at the end of the month with Zig, I grab him by his ankles and I shake him until all the change drops out. No, that's not what I do. No,
No.
it's not about taking money. It's about we want to keep the doors open, but we're here. We don't have a sliding scale. But if you need to create, if you have a true desire to create, we're gonna help you do it one way or another. So.
Good.
One
Paulie,
thing,
what
another
about-
thing I do want to share before we get out of here is, as you know, we have a new theme song for you. You guys heard it at the top of the hour. It was the blues riff. And I wish we could just shout it out to one person, but tell us about your buddy, Bernie Rose.
Bernie Rose is my friend, lifelong friend, Marty's younger brother. And Bernie has been an integral part of the Comfortably Zoned network, as well as Mert and Bon and Mert. He's a professional musician, lives in Florida, and he and a group of people that he plays with recently went to New York, Greenwich Village, and played at a place called the Red Lion. And they did a set of a couple of songs, put it on YouTube, and gave us permission, did Bernie, to use that set as music for our show. So I guess you can say we have a house band, Bernie and the guys. And Paulie, you're going to play some of his music right now.
Yes, we are, but I'm going to tell you that it's Bluesy Dan LP, Bernie Rose on keys and vocals, Big Ed Sullivan on his 63 Tellus slide, Jim on his harp, Tim Tyndall on bass, Steve Pulsalante on drums at the Red Lion. And we're going to play that getting out of here. But one other thing before we leave you with that, we're going to do a new little segment from now on. It's called Ziggy Says. Zig Says. That's right. Zig Says, support the Head Start program in your hometown today. That's what we want to do. This is one of the programs that this administration is trying to take out. And they're trying to take out your kids before they can even do it. No children left behind. Sheet. No children even going to get into the line. You guys got to help. There's the website. Go to that. That's right, acf.gov. But go. Remember, Zig Says, support that Head Start program in your hometown. Don't let
And
another
not just
government
with money.
program go away. Go ahead.
Paulie, not just with money with Head Start. If folks will just bundle up some new or lightly used children's books and take them to the Head Start program in your community, we as a group can make a lot of difference by supporting this. Get kids reading, and get people to help them facilitate the idea that you have to have a passion and you have to read about it to get by in life.
That's right.
Whatever,
All right.
Whatever.
Whatever that is.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Have I yacked enough today?
Yeah, we have yacked enough today. I'm gonna get geared up because we have Richard Perry coming in shortly. But for myself, the Zig Man, get us out of here like only you can, sir.
Well, I can just say, be good to yourselves. How about that?
There you go.
Hug someone you love, because when you lose someone, you never get that opportunity again.
That's right.
Unless you're a necrophilia.
Oh, you were right. We are birds of a feather. That when you said that, that's what I was thinking to myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got terrible. We have comedian Tourette's. We're out of here. For myself, the Zig Man. Come back next week, 11 o'clock. But you know I'll be late. We'll see you guys next time in the zone. Until then.
Adios. Hey, Jack, thanks again for being here.